3.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Idiomatic Top 3.
With Nicholas, I'm the VM correspondent for Idiomatic.
And I'm Dimitri, editor-in-chief of Idiomatic.com and movie critic. Well, first of all, Nick, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Last week, we did the worst of 2013 and we ran long.
Yeah, that was long.
That was a long episode. Now we're doing the best of 2013 and I'm hoping it'll be a little bit more positive, a little bit more fun, a little bit more,
Yeah.
Because we like to celebrate things. We're not haters.
No, we'll try not to be.
We are going to list the top 3 best things that happened in entertainment in 2013. Only in entertainment.
Yeah.
That means, theoretically, if the second coming of Christ had happened this year, we would be like, not talking about it.
Unless he was very entertaining, then we would be talking
Yeah, if he
about
put up a magic show, maybe.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we'd be like, sorry.
Yeah.
All right, so what is your number 3 pick for best of 2013?
Well, it's a site I found called Gamers for Good. And they basically raise money for charity, save the children. This year, especially, they did something great when the last patch of World of Warcraft came out, the Siege of Orgrimmar. And they invited 2 top guilds, Method and Midwinter. And they basically said, you guys are going to have a race, and we're going to stream that race, and people, are going to give money to watch that, or if they like it afterwards, they can give money to us. And they managed to raise, just by that event alone, over $1 million for charity.
That is awesome.
Which is great. If I had to put a negative little snippet in there.
The reason why it's your number 3 and not your number 1, essentially?
Exactly, is that these guys need to make it a little more public. The race took place at the beginning of September. I learned about this website in mid-October by accidentally clicking on a link.
Which means you wouldn't have been able to donate. It would have been too late.
Exactly. I was not able to donate. I would have loved to donate. I would have actually loved to watch the race between those 2 top guilds, see who can, finish the instance first. Mm-hmm. It's just that it was very, very well hidden and not very advertised. It was like, I thought it's weird, especially for a charity thing. You want it to be like blatant everywhere. And
yeah, it's one of 2 things that must have happened, honestly. Either they're not very good at marketing, which not everybody is. Like, that's not a criticism. Like, it's something I had to learn for our site, and I'm still learning. I'm not terribly good at it either.
Okay.
And that would be more depressing, is if the gaming news site weren't interested.
That is a possibility, because you get a lot of negative stuff on those gaming news sites, because, I don't know, I guess gamers like to be angry or something, and good news is just, I don't know. Maybe it's just this year as well. I don't remember reading a lot of good news in those gaming sites.
Well, look, if you're listening at all, and if any organizations of this type who are doing charity work like this and want publicity are interested, write us at mail@idiomatic.com. We will advertise the shit out of your thing.
Yeah.
For free.
Pretty much.
It's our pleasure. We really want to be part of any sort of effort like this. So, there you go.
Yeah. So what is your number 3?
My number 3 pick, again, as I did last week, I'm going to start off fairly shallow, but
sweet.
With television again. So, pattern.
All right.
I don't know why I keep blurting out random words with a Valley Girl accent. It's the new thing, apparently, but there you go.
Because it's awesome.
But I want to talk about How I Met Your Mother.
Okay.
This is the last season of How I Met Your Mother. Last year was supposed to be the last season. And then at the last minute, CBS went we really want to renew this because this is a crazy cash cow.
Yeah.
And then we're like, yeah, okay, but we're going to do it our way and we're going to change things. But the thing is, they had set up all the way to the end, He was about to meet his future wife, the mother,
yeah,
at Barney's wedding. And the show would have ended, and the show was heading towards the wedding, so there was no way to delay it any further. They had done it before by going oh yeah, it wasn't that wedding, but I think they realized that we've done that too many times. We can't pull that off once again without being obnoxious.
Yeah.
So what they decided to do is simply doing almost real time, 24.
Oh my god.
All the episodes leading up to him actually meeting her at the wedding, but they're already at the reception at the hotel where the wedding's going to take place, and it's just them like half hour after half hour having adventures. So it's a major overhaul of the concept, if you will.
That must have been the best day ever if you put it all together there.
Well, it's really funny. It's really works. It's the breath of fresh air that actually the show needed to last that extra season, because, you know, it was getting long in the tooth.
Yeah.
And I wanted to list it here because I can't believe they pulled it off. Because doing an extra season after you thought you were going to end usually ends in a disaster. Like, Andromeda pops into mind right away. Like, that last season is unwatchable.
I can't believe I'm going to say this because I'm almost admitting I was watching it, but Charmed as well. Oh, what is this? This is very, very bad.
Yeah, those extra seasons are always killer. Yeah. Like, even the last 2 seasons of Buffy, they feel forced. Yeah. They really do.
Yeah.
And I know people are gonna go, I loved it. Well, good for you. Like, I'm not criticizing you. You're allowed to like what you like. But but honestly, like, most people like the first 5 seasons a lot more, and there's a reason for that. It feels forced. But like, this show, like, just not only did it, but did it by overhauling the entire concept and getting away with it. Because CBS does not like deviation. They're like, you're gonna do the same thing as we did for 30 years. Laugh track, sir.
Yeah.
You know. But what they decided to do is actually introduce the mother into the show, but she just never meets the narrator character. But she meets everyone else in the cast one by one, and they all get to know her and become friends with her before the main character knows her. So it'll still be when he meets her, How I Met Your Mother, but we actually get to know her as a person before he meets her, so that we go like, oh yeah, I can see how they hook up, these two. And as opposed to just be this ideal of the woman, which is what they were going for the previous seasons. You know? And it makes the show better because, it's not just this thing with the ideal of the perfect woman coming up at the end. No, it's a genuine person that comes up. And at first they were building her up as this extra sweet character and everything.
Yeah.
But then as the season advances, you realize that she's a little bit of a pushover. Like, she's not a perfect person.
Okay.
She's a little bit weak-willed.
I see.
But she's a genuine character, in other words. And it's like, oh my god, okay, no, we're meeting a real person this time. Like, everything about this last season is going like, oh my god, I can't believe that this extraneous forced cash grab of an extra season is turning out to be actually good and actually enhancing the show as a whole.
That's interesting. I wonder if they'll ever explain why the guy eventually sounds like Bob Saget, because that's not his voice.
It's close, though. I can imagine him growing older and sounding like that. Actually, I find it's close.
That's a possibility. I wonder if they explain how he morphs and looks like Bob Saget too. I don't know if they can manage to just push it up like that.
And what I'm wondering is how his son ends up being a wizard, and his daughter ends up joining Nikita as part of a covert super spy program.
Is it still the same kids?
Yeah, well, it's the same footage too. So it's weird. You watch, it's like, oh yeah, those 2 kids. It's like, who are now grown-ups in real life.
That's true. That is true. I'm sure they watch themselves on TV and it's like, I can't believe they're still showing this. It's so embarrassing.
Anyway, what is your number 2 pick for best of 2013?
My number 2 for 2013 is Discovery Channel's Shark Week, which I think broke the mold this year and did some crazy, crazy things. What was awesome was at the end of the week, and when I heard the advertisement, I did double take because I could not believe Discovery was doing that. They announced, like, on the double feature this Friday night, Jaws followed by Sharknado. I'm sure it drew people because there was a huge buzz about Sharknado that had just come out a couple of weeks before.
I can appreciate the awesome absurdity of putting Jaws right next to Sharknado. Like,
yeah.
That's pretty funny. And then the fact that it's on Discovery is sort of icing on the cake.
The movies kind of have the same structure. I mean, in Jaws, you have to wait like an hour to see the shark, and in Sharknado, you have to wait an hour to see the Sharknadoes. So there were sharks earlier, but not Sharknadoes. You have to wait an hour to see them.
Having said that, I feel it's a little bit depressing that we're getting 2 movies. One of, like, both completely fiction and one particularly stupid on top of that. As part of the Discovery Channel lineup. Like, there's something a little bit depressing about that. It's sort of like, because they're doing it for ratings, which means that actual stuff with real information and learning is not getting the ratings they want. It's sad. It's a little bit sad.
Well, I thought it was encouraging that there's so many channels about learning and, discovery and stuff like that. There's a learning channel. Bravo does a lot of learning stuff as well, and it's like I think they might realize that there are too many of those channels, and maybe they should kind of compress them. Maybe get rid of Animal Planet and just integrate the things into Discovery and stuff like that. I think all those different learning channels are kind of diluting the audience, and I'm pretty sure people are still interested in learning, but you need to give them what they want and stop giving crazy stuff like Honey Boo Boo. It's like, this is on the learning channel. Why do I need to learn about Honey Boo Boo? And tracking Bigfoot, there are at least like 3 or 4 tracking Bigfoot shows on Animal Planet. I was like, first of all, how about you prove it exists before you start tracking it? One step at a time, guys. That's not how science works.
One show about cryptozoology would be fine.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Just learning about the myths and everything, it's fine. You don't have to try and convince me that they exist.
Yeah.
It'd just be interesting to learn about all the different myths and, these people believe this and this is why. That'd be perfectly cool. But yeah, just Bigfoot all the time and maybe not.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I still think that Shark Week was, an awesome ending, and I still approve, even though it is kind of, not really what I expect from Discovery.
It's like the perfect storm of what the fuck. What the fuck NATO, if you will.
Oh, that's great. What the fuck, NATO? I approve of that expression. I will use it, actually. It will replace the bomb.com.
Oh, God.
So what is your number 2?
My number 2, a little heartwarming story for all of us.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. I wrote in my notes, Christian Bale cures cancer.
Oh, he does.
The story behind it is that there's a little boy who had cancer.
Yeah.
Said that he really wanted to meet Batman. I think it was part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yeah, Make-A-Wish.
Christian Bale, they contacted Christian Bale or his publicist, whatever.
Yeah.
And he decided to show up in Batman gear and then take him to Disney World.
Nice. He did not keep the Batman gift for Disney World.
No, I think that would have been really awkward.
Yeah, not be able to turn his head throughout the whole thing.
Although it would have been lovely if he had done the Kim Possible scavenger hunt there, because then he could have gone like, "Where is he?"
Wow. What?
But anyway, really nice gesture, really sweet.
Yeah.
And then the kid got better.
Nice.
Cancer was gone.
That's cool. So yeah, he did cure cancer.
Yeah, Christian Bale cured cancer. Really sweet story, and look, it's nice that people with money and means do good things like that.
Yeah.
Use their celebrity for something useful and nice. Like I love that he took the time to do that. It's really sweet.
Yeah.
And it's not like he publicized it everywhere either. It caught wind of some people. That's it. And
Yeah. Another example of a story like that happened this year. It was a liquor store clerk, got shot during a robbery, got shot in the eye. And, he's loved by the community and everything, everybody loves him, so they basically raised money to help him, and he's basically giving that money to charity instead of keeping it to help himself. And
oh my God.
they're trying to, come on, keep the money to help. You need help. You only have one eye now, your store, it was closed for a while, but, And he was interviewed that week, and it was like, he's a wrestling fan. You know that CM Punk lost to The Rock? That's the worst thing that happened to me this week. After being shot in the face, and it like CM Punk got wind of that. I was like, that cannot be true? And he saw the story, and he actually extended an invitation. Next time they were in town, he invited the guy to the wrestling, and he met with him personally as well. Which was very nice. And I really think that's the kind of outreach that they should do. It's great that celebrities just help out, especially if it costs you almost nothing. I mean, I don't know if Christian Bale had to rent out the Batman costume. That would have sucked, but still.
I'm sure that the studio would have been more than happy. I was like, oh yeah, we still have that thing hanging around. Here you go.
So and then tickets to Disneyland, a big deal. So cost him like a day, and he made the child super happy. And like the same CM Punk, it cost him like a day, and he seats in front row. That was nothing. It's like that kind of stuff. It does wonder, and it not only makes the person that to whom it happens happy, but people hear about the story. They have this general sentiment of happiness about him. It's like, oh, this is awesome. They're not all rotten. They're actually some nice, people in Hollywood.
All right, what is your number one pick for a best of 2013?
Well, I'm going to start with something that's actually directly entertainment. It was on TV, and it's going to probably digress to, extra stuff that's happening all over the web. It's people just outing themselves doing stupid stuff on camera. It started this summer with Big Brother, where not on the actual TV show immediately, but on the live feed on the web, a bunch of people just, threw out some racist comments like that, towards a contestant. And you're like, don't you guys realize you're on live and people are watching you? Why are you doing this? And of course, everybody sees it and, there's consequences to that. It's like afterwards, the employers see this and it's like, I don't want this guy to be employed, So they get fired, and it's happening all over again. People either being filmed doing stupid stuff, or some people sometimes film themselves doing that.
That's the thing.
And they think they're doing the right thing. I remember a person arguing to Dunkin' Donut that they wanted their free meal because they didn't get a receipt last time, and they entitled them to a free meal. And she was just being super obnoxious about it. She could order, one of everything in the store and it should be free because, And
eventually incredibly racist.
And eventually, she did use an ethnic slur to the person that was serving her, who was the nicest person ever. She was super professional. So not only did, the person who actually works in PR outed herself as a really racist person and kind of an idiot, the other person, the employee, showed that her super professionalism, and she got
he's a guy.
You're right. And got kudos from Dunkin' Donut, and they even started a fund on the internet to give him some money to, help him out. Cause, people were thoughts like, wow, this guy is awesome. He took all that abuse and did absolutely nothing. And he was just like, fine. It was like, wow. So, I can almost equate this to like Big Brother, but that we're doing ourselves because we're like not even in the government.
Yeah, that's not Big Brother.
But it's like every part of our lives is filmed, by ourselves because, we're putting it on the web thinking that, like that person that at the Dunkin' Donuts, she thought she was being a hero by asking for her free stuff at Dunkin' Donuts.
By acting like a jerk. That's really true.
It's like, I'm a hero here. You're live on YouTube right now. I was like, that's not how YouTube works, but okay.
Well, I was reading a story like that just recently. There's this guy who posted his entire fight live on Twitter, essentially, like giving a play-by-play on Twitter.
Yeah.
An airport there. It was the holidays. I think it was Thanksgiving. The airplanes were jammed, and one woman was freaking out about it, being really rude to the flight attendants and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's like they can't control the weather. Like it's not their fault. It's,
pretty much.
And he decided to take it upon himself to teach her a lesson by harassing her a little bit, humiliating her. First, the joke started off funny. Once in the plane, he sent her a glass of wine and said, like, sorry that you're missing your Thanksgiving with everyone, but next time consider not opening your mouth with a glass of wine, but here's to relax you. And I'm like, okay, well, that's mean.
Yeah.
And since the crisis is over, I don't know why you want to rile her up again.
That's a good point.
But, all right, fair enough. You felt like doing that, fine. But then she wrote back, going like, you're rude, I can't believe you did this. Then he wrote back more harassing things, and like, he back and forth. And the more he goes on, the more like, look, lay off the lady already. Like, she started off a jerk, but now you're worse.
I know.
And he's tweeting that so proud of himself, and you're like, don't you understand that you're the bad guy now?
I know, they really don't. That's what's kind of amusing, and they're shocked when it's like, what do you mean? He's like, huh? I remember it happened last year, so I'm kind of breaking the rule a little bit, but at UCLA, that student that, talked about Asian people being too loud in the library, and
while she was having an epiphany.
Yeah, she was having an epiphany, and they're going like ching chang chung chow and talking, and you're like, are you? She actually thought she was doing her right thing by telling those Asian students to quiet down in the library, but like.
Well,
seriously.
No. If she had told the students to quiet down the library, I wouldn't have any qualms about it.
Exactly.
No, she posted a video about her bitch slapping verbally those Asians with like full of awful stereotypes and small-mindedness.
Yeah.
You're like, right on. Like,
I know.
No, you're not helping it. Hey, you're not helping your cause, obviously, but you're not even helping the cause of quieting them down in the library if that was such a big problem.
What are the odds of them watching your video? Honestly.
Exactly. Like, you're not, especially like when she said things like, what did she say that made me laugh so hard? It's like, I know you want to find out about your family because of the tornado and whatever. And I'm like, now you just gave them an excuse for being on the phone, and I feel sympathetic towards them. Like, why did you bring that up?
I know. It's like, it's terrible. So, I mean, it's just, honestly, if you think you're acting that way, and if you think you're right acting that way, please film yourself and put it on the web.
Yeah, because that girl got kicked out of UCLA because of that video.
Yeah. So please, if you think you're being righteous and everything, yeah, go ahead, film yourself, put it on the internet. If you were really righteous, you get people saying congratulations, and if you're not, well, you might learn a life lesson or two. I'm just saying, you know.
I get it. Like, I get it why that's a good thing, because we've reached a point in Twitter culture where the masses actually sort of like it's turning out to be a great arbiter of these things where, and a lot of people go, oh, it's political correctness. No, come on. If you're calling an employee at Dunkin' Donut who's been nothing but nice to you a san N-word, and then advertising is like, aren't I awesome? And people go like, you're a very bad PR agent.
Yeah.
That's not political correctness. That's common sense.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you know, like, yeah, I mean, like, it's rare that you'll hear me praise the Twitterverse, but yeah, I mean, that is one of the advantages of it. People who feel that they can post every thought they have, and then they're judged for their thoughts. Good.
They're perfectly free to have those thoughts and to express them, but you know.
But we're free to react to them.
Exactly. Thank you for advertising them. We're free to react to those, and we're free not to hang out with you at all, ever. You know.
Having said that, because I like to poo on everything you say, I will say that some of the stuff is unfortunate as well, because there are some of the stuff where I feel political correctness has gotten in the way of better judgment, as it sometimes does. Not always, but sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel like the Paula Deen thing is one of those things that feels a little bit unfortunate. You know, she her brother, not her, was sued for discriminatory practice at work.
Yeah.
Towards black people. Like, she's not the one being sued. She was in a deposition.
Yeah.
About it, and they asked her if you ever used the N-word.
Yeah.
And she went like, at work? Like, she's like, no, ever. And she answered yes.
Yeah.
And then everybody lost their shit. She's like, oh, she uses the N-word, she uses the N-word, she uses the N-word. It's like, oh, no. The question is, have you ever used the N-word? And like, I'll give you an example.
I think the story with her is that 27 years ago, she got robbed by two black guys.
Yeah.
And coming home, she used the N-word to describe them, you know?
Yeah, because she was really mad and felt violated by the experience. Now, look, I'm not saying that it's ever okay to use the N-word in anger.
Yeah.
It's not, but to a certain degree, there are some experiences you live through where you should get a pass. Like, I'm not saying, oh, it's okay to use the N-word. It's just saying, like, no, it's not okay to use the N-word, but that happened, and let's move past it. It shouldn't reflect how you are normally.
Exactly.
Same thing with McCain, you know, he used the word gook at some point, like years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I'm Asian. I should be the one feeling offended by it. But like, look, the guy was captured by Viet Congs and got tortured. He gets a pass on that one. Like, whether or not you want somebody with a mindset that uses that word to be a head of state is a legitimate question. But as a person, he gets a pass.
Yeah. Completely agree with that. And he's usually like the more defendant level, like what's happening in Syria right now, you know, and he defended people that, you know, they were offended because the insurgent said Allah Akbar, and he basically just said that just means thank God.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only thing it means when you guys relax. So, you know, maybe he's a little touchy on the Vietnamese side, but he's usually very understanding in other situations. So
no, and it's not like he's ever proposed anti-Vietnamese or anti-Asian legislation either. You know,
yeah,
like
exactly.
Honestly, look, he's talking with his buddies who've had similar experiences, and he used a word that he shouldn't have. But I'm sure there's a lot of bitterness relating to that experience that happened, but he's mature enough not to have it leak into the way he treats people. Just it leaked into some of the jokes he made.
Yeah.
Pass.
Yeah, it was, yeah, exactly. Pauline, 27 years ago, she said it, and it's like, okay.
And honestly, like, if somebody asks you in a deposition under oath if you've ever used the N-word, you are under oath. You are supposed to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Because I heard so many people, I would never say no. It's like, well, then you'd be a liar. Because
that's called perjury.
Yeah, that's called perjury. Because, like, if somebody asked me that question, I would have to answer yes because I did a show discussing the N-word, and with Chasm from the DE podcast years ago.
Yeah.
She's black, by the way. And we both decided, well, let's stop calling it N-word because we want to talk about the N-word,
Yeah.
and the N-word, the actual word that it represents.
Yeah.
And we needed to tell the difference between the two, so obviously we're just going to go ahead and use the word that rhymes with Tigger, and then use N-word. That way it's easy to tell apart, you know? So if somebody asked me this in a deposition, I'd have to say, well, yeah, I've used it.
I can remember, even when you're younger, can you say you've never used, like, you said, like, a racist joke because you didn't know better? I'm pretty sure as a kid, I know I did a lot of Newfie jokes before I was told that those are people who live in Newfoundland and you probably shouldn't do that. So I probably used the N-word as well in the joke, not knowing any better. So I would have to say probably if they ever ask me that question,
Yeah. And look, I mean, again, it's not condoning using that word as an insult to a black person. I do feel that is unacceptable because it carries a lot of history with it. So I'm not blind to that. I'm just saying, it's a deposition. You're under oath. You have to admit these things.
Yeah.
And having everybody roll over you at the minute you did that. And by the way, the case got dismissed. So, like, not only is they couldn't prove that she was a racist, they couldn't even prove that her brother was a racist.
Yeah.
And and like they asked her as well, like, well, did you ever call your employees the N-word?
Yeah.
And she was like, no, that's not what they are. And everybody ran over, oh, those are not N-words, but other black people are, you racist. Because, like, that's not what she said.
Yeah.
She was saying, I'm not calling them N-words because that's not what these people are. That's not what you call black people. Yeah. That's what she said. Like, everybody twisted her words, rolled her, and that's sad. That's sad. I'm not saying that I'm a fan of Paula Deen. I think there's only so much butter one should take.
Yeah.
But that's not fair, is what I'm saying.
I know.
And that's the downside of Twitter, I guess.
I know. And unfortunately, because, that was news when she got, they asked her those questions, but the fact that, her and her brother were innocent, that did not make the news that much. And,
not guilty.
Not guilty, not guilty, you're right.
The case got thrown out. It's not even that they settled or won the case. Yeah. The judge flat out threw out the case.
That was basically probably, a scroll down on CNN, and, nobody in Twitter got super angry and said, we're sorry, God damn it. He's like, no, it was just, oh, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't have done that, but, it's like, so, yeah, okay, sometimes it does work, but, very often, out yourself on Twitter. It's all good.
I feel bad for Paula Deen because from now on, her core audience is going to consist of racists.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's true, though. That's what's going to happen, poor woman. She's going to be, like, cooking for racists now because they're going to be the only ones listening to her, poor woman.
No, people with reason probably read more about it and understand.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully, cooking for racists. That'd be a great title for a show. Awesome. So what is your number one?
Okay, some of you may remember that last year I listed as one of my worst picks for 2012 the success of the Avengers because I was very concerned that it would all go franchise, and the studios would get the message that franchise is the way to go. And unfortunately, that did happen. Already Fox is announcing that the X-Men are going to merge with the Fantastic Four, and it's all going to be part of one big family of movies with spin-offs with X-Force and all of that stuff.
Wow.
Spider-Man is spinning off into a Sinister Six movie.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god. They had a problem with 3 bad guys in Spider-Man 3. They want to do 6 now?
If you're looking for new material in 2014, 2015, I'm sorry, but you're poop out of luck. Man.
Yeah, pretty much. Which helps our series don't F with the original.
Oh, it totally does.
A lot of work. It's great.
Although they're popping out the sequels so fast that I was looking at the schedule for 2014 for Don't F with the original. I was like, yeah, we already did that series. What are we going to do now?
That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm not rewatching those movies to review them again. It makes no sense.
It's like, I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to find something. Anyway.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg also theorizes, like, look, this can't last like this forever. It's going to implode. It's too much money per blockbuster. And, we need a new model and smaller movies need to be made,
Yeah.
And lo and behold, this very summer, James Wan had 2 hit movies. One in the summer, The Conjuring. The other one's closer to the fall, I guess.
Yeah.
that broke the house in terms of money that were each made for between $10,000 to $20,000.
That's crazy.
That's 1% of what Robert Downey Jr. No, that's less than 1%. That's 0.01% of what Robert Downey Jr. gets paid to be in the Avengers 2.
I know. That's crazy.
And it broke the house, made mad money. Like this guy, James Wan, with The Conjuring and with Insidious 2, executed what Spielberg theorized would help the movie industry. Just like that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the franchise movies are still making mad money, like Man of Steel and all of that. But, some of them are proving disappointing in terms of returns, like Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yeah, this summer I thought was pretty disappointing for most of the movies.
Yeah, they got the crap beaten out of him from, like, James Wan's $10,000 movie, The Conjuring.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy about that, not because I hate blockbusters and I want them to pay for a vendetta that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But because I'm hoping it will give at least some movie producers out there a different view of how to conduct their business and go like, oh, there's an alternative to buying and exploiting that same franchise over and over again. I'm hoping, especially since James Wan is the guy who went like, hey guys, I will make you 8 movies for $10,000 each and give you a return of estimated that much if you leave me alone and let me do what I want. And they were like, no, that's peanuts. Yeah, sure, go ahead. The fact that it worked, I mean, and he presented it as a business model, gives me hope that we're going to have a little bit, at least an undercurrent of variety in between all those bloody Marvel movies.
I know. I mean, I enjoy that because those are usually like original ideas, which is what I look for. I get bored of universes and same movies so often. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to go see any more Marvel or X-Men movies at all because I'm bored. I've seen it. Okay, you can have a mutant have a different powers, like, shoot beams from his fingers instead of his eyes. I don't care. I've seen it. I've seen roughly the same thing. I don't want to deal with it anymore. But new movies, new ideas, something different, a story I haven't heard before. That's not a rehashing of something I saw 10 years ago. That's exciting to me.
On that note, if you have any questions, comments, you want to post your comments about all of that, you can write us at mail@idiomatic.com or post a comment at idiomatic.com. We are also on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. We're also on iTunes. If you could write us an iTunes review, we would be super grateful. It helps us continue to generate quality content for you, or quality. I say that in like quotation marks.
Yeah, he does the air quotes every time he says that.
Hey, yeah.
See ya.